All right, everybody, ding, ding, ding. That's what I'm talking about. We are back in the ring. This is Troy Vaughn, also known as Trey Amazing, your favorite part-time stripper, part-time megachurch pastor, but full-time dating commentator. And I'm here with someone who is, well, this is a guy who I have admired for a very long time. I saw him a long time ago. I think the first time I saw him was on TV1's Love Addiction. And I have been a fan of his work. I have been following his endeavors, and he is doing just amazing work. From the NBA to TV1 to CNN, I introduce everyone. This is Dr. Alduan Tartt. Say hello, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, Ringside family?
That's what I'm talking about. Expert marital psychologist for national media, NBA, husband, father, and to cap it all off, he is my Morehouse brother.
That's right, the house.
Indeed, that's what I'm talking about. So we are definitely in there. I know, so in the past, I know, like I said, I think the first time I came across you may have been Love Addiction. I know that was some years back. But you have been frequent on TV1 and BET and a lot of other projects. And so you have, your reputation precedes you in a very positive way. I mean, you know what you're doing. So, you know, being that my genre is, you know, dating and relationship, sex, so on and so forth, I really wanted to take this opportunity to talk with an actual clinical psychologist, someone who, you know, you do this on a regular basis. You see diverse array of clients. Today, we're going to talk about a very touchy subject for people, and that's toxic relationships.
Oh. Well, let's do it. Oh, yeah, Troy, first of all, let me give you your flowers as well, man. My Morehouse brother, what you've been doing. We've been doing social media forever, but you were in it before I got into it, man. And it's out on a regular basis, man. So thanks for being an inspiration, man. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for those kind words, man. I'm excited about serving your audience, man. So I know it's... I like dealing with people that come from different angles, man. You always keep me sharp, so I'm excited about it.
Thank you, man. Hey, thank you. So from one Morehouse man to another, I appreciate this. This is about to be dope.
You're gonna have to tell me later about the part-time stripper, man. That's off camera.
Well, you know, I gotta get my money. You know, this is Atlanta. You know, Georgia Power ain't free.
Oh man, no, I heard you do it quite well, my brother.
Indeed. So so check this out, man. You know, for over 20 years, you have a lot of skin in the game. You dealt with couples, so I know you've come across toxic relationships. But the word, I mean, that has been used so much. So from all the years of experience you have, what exactly how would you define a toxic relationship? Like, what are some elements that would make a relationship or a marriage toxic?
Right, so toxic relationships could be a number of different things. Let's just start with number one. Usually one good person married or in a relationship with someone who has no capacity to be good at a relationship. They might be good at business, they might look good, they might be fine, you know, they might be a great friend, but when it comes to a romantic relationship, they are terrible. Right, like their ability to do it is terrible. I don't want to label anyone, because when you start kind of getting the backstory to people, which keeps me humble, right? When you sit down and you listen to people's stories, you're like, man, I can't believe you're not worse based upon, you know, where you come from. So the first question I ask people is, when you're dating someone, ask them, how good are they at relationships? All right, like, you can be good at everything. How good are you at apologizing? How good are you at compromising? How good are you being thoughtful? How good are you when you get upset? How good are you being faithful, right? So we start talking about toxic relationships. That's the first type. And what's interesting about that is that a lot of people focus on the person who's not that good, like the least valuable player, right? The LVP. They focus on him or her, and they, you know, and we call them narcissists, selfish, self-absorbed, and a lot of that is true, right? All right, but we also have to focus on who they tend to get in relationships with, or who finds them, and it's typically someone who thinks too little of themselves. All right, so we call that self-erasure. So someone who erases themselves, Troy, and you think about it, I've done it. You've done it. You think, all right, you know what? You know what? I'm just going to let it go.
I've definitely done it.
I'm going to take one for the team because I feel like if I'm nice to you and I'm good to you, you'll be good to me back. And if it's worth all that arguing, you know what? I'll just let it go and we can do it your way. Because I'm trying to keep the peace, right? But what happens is the person thinks that's the real relationship. They don't see you accommodating. They don't see your sacrifice. They think you just come to them, right? That's just how it is. And then they wear you out. And you wake up one day and you realize, man, this relationship was all about pleasing you. And I got nothing out of it. So that's one type. Another type is when you have two people and neither one of them are good, right? At relationships. Typically, this is like we call it a pain dance, all right? You don't have to testify. But if you've ever been with someone intimately and she's in pain, you in pain, y'all come together, y'all bond. We call it a trauma bond. Oh my goodness, we feel each other. But then as the relationship goes, we realize that while we may care for each other, we may even love each other, we don't know the first thing about being healthy in a relationship. So when we hit a rock, we're forced to accommodate one another, or we think it's time to be selfless. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to bond other than pain. So you can find, but to make a long story short, if the relationship is going nowhere, it's toxic. Like in the Bible, if people look at the book of John, right, 15, it talks about God being the vine and we're the branches. Well, if you prune a bush, I don't know how much you know about gardening, right? But if you prune a bush, you prune it back and the branch looks like it's messed up, right? When you prune it back so it can produce more fruit. A toxic relationship has gone so far, it's producing no fruit. It's just wild and out of control. You've been together 3 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, but it has nowhere to go. So a relationship is toxic when it's either out of fruit, meaning you're not growing in it, and even worse, Troy, you're dying in it. Like you dying, I was an 8 before I met you, but now we year 3. I'm a 6, a 5,
like going down.
You've been there. Everyone's been there. If they want to be real, but you just feel like, you know what? I've been in this relationship so long, I'm just gonna try to hold on to this thing, right? But you end up having to decide: do I want to stay in something toxic or save myself? And a lot of times, it's best for people to save themselves or force the other person to stop being toxic, and that's when you start hitting a roadblock.
Oh, and and you're gonna have those people who feel like, either stay in this relationship which they know is toxic, or be single, which a lot of people don't want to be. You have a lot of people, both men and women, who are deathly afraid of just starting over, a fear of starting over and being single. And so for them, even the people that may recognize, look, this relationship isn't going anywhere, it's not moving forward, we're just going around, we're just taking laps, and we're going in a circle, it's better, and at least I can say I got somebody. At least I'm not alone. So with that being said, do you ever see either, from peers or family or what people see with their parents, do you see people begin to just basically normalize the toxicity? I mean, because you have some people, I think you have those groups of people who are in these toxic relationships and don't realize it, or maybe oblivious, and then you have some people who understand, look, they know the person they're with ain't about nothing, they know it ain't going anywhere, but what am I supposed to do? This is what I saw with my parents. My closest friends are in these kind of relationships. This is what I see on social media. So for the men and women out there who have kind of normalized this, normalized it to the point where anything different is too foreign to even comprehend, what would you say to them?
Get out.
Get out.
No, for real. All right, so really, really wake up. All right? Here's the piece that I see as a psychologist. There's a cost to staying in something toxic. So if you think about a fish and then the water becomes toxic, that fish begins to get sick, right? And the only way that fish can save himself or save herself is to get out of that toxic water, because you're breathing it and you're in a relationship with this person. Here's what we know is that a toxic relationship takes 6 to 8, some studies 10 years off your life. So you can't just stay in it and sustain. The way I get people to move is like, there's a cost. And when I talk to women, I say, look, have you experienced any health concerns? Is your body keeping score? Is your body going into the negative? Like, headaches, stomach aches, significant weight loss, weight gain. Here's the big one, Trey, is when they start talking about losing their hair. So 6 months after being in a sustained cancerous environment, and I don't mean cancerous from a medical standpoint. It could be work, it could be neighborhood, it could be a romantic relationship. 6 months later, that cortisol has built up to where you start losing your hair, right? So basically what the body is saying, you can stay in this, but I'm not going to keep you in denial that it's not killing you. And here's the thing, when you're in a relationship with someone who's toxic and you get sick, they have no capacity nor any desire to serve you, to help you when you get sick. They're going to be out because the relationship was always about them getting the most and you getting the little, right? The least, right? That's why it was great. It was beneficial. It's like a sale. It's like corporate America. They want to get the most amount for the least amount of money, and that's the deal. So when I help people look at that and say, that's where your life is headed. You can't stay in this and not suffer. So that's the first thing. The second thing is increase your faith. Now, what if you could find someone better? No one wants to start over. But there's a psychological term called sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy. What that means is, think about investments, right? I was looking at something earlier. I was like, ooh, should I still keep Match in my portfolio? It was good at first, but it continues to drop, right? Should I sell it, or should I cut my losses? And a lot of times we don't want to cut our losses because we keep thinking, well, next month it's gonna come back. Well, some point it's gonna get better. Or you look at, like you said, Troy, man, I've been with this person 7 years. I don't want to waste 7 years. That would prove that I wasted 7 years. But when you look at it, do you want that to be 14 years? Do you want it to be 21 years? And I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, Trey.
Hey, that's okay. You protect on my channel.
Do you want to be a Falcons fan?
Ooh.
I watched the game last night. I knew they were going to lose, man. And I'm an optimist. But I said, any way the Falcons can get this game away, same thing if you're a Cowboys fan, any way you're going to lose, they're going to lose. Do you really want to suffer? Or do you want to tap out and just pick another team or emotionally remove yourself from being abused? So when we look at it, and not to, I'm trying not to use names, but let's use it in the positive. All right. Okay. Think about who Sierra used to date.
Ooh.
All right, y'all. All right. Sierra used to date someone toxic. All right, and then she moved. Russell used to date someone toxic. Okay, they both came from toxic past, but they chose to end those relationships. Right now, both of them publicly. Oh man, they broke up. You broke up with a hip hop star. You broke up with your wife, and you're supposed to be the all-American guy, right? And then they moved into something healthier. Now look at them. They're writing children's books. They're
they're on fire.
They're on fire. Same thing with Fantasia.
Exactly.
You keep looking at different people, and you realize that everyone has been in something toxic, even in high school at this point, unfortunately. If you're focusing on what you could have versus what you lost, that's what's going to help you, right? But if you see the relationship as a personal failure, it's hard for you to move on versus looking at it and saying, you know what, there was some good times in that 7 years, but it's no longer producing fruit. I asked him or her to change. They refuse to change. Therefore, I am signing up to taking 6 to 8 to 10 years off my life. No, I'm out. I'll leave Beyonce, bro. I would leave Beyonce because it's not worth me missing the last 8 years of my grandkids' life when I get there. It's not worth me. When I get 75, 80, I'm trying to live to 100 though. Man, that relationship that I ended up leaving anyway because I couldn't take it anymore. I wish I would have left sooner before I had a stroke, before I had a heart attack, before I got an ulcer. Go ahead.
I definitely agree. It's, right when you talk about the health ramifications, I mean, even something, because some people may look at the vanity or cosmetic of losing your hair, but then other people, you have to think about, for some people, a toxic relationship pushes them to the bottle or pushes them to weed.
That's a good point.
And they don't realize, like, you my boo and everything, but I need some liquor to be with you. I need liquor in this house. Or I need to get away at least once a week. I need to get away from you and go smoke something. go drink something just to keep my wits about myself to be around you or be in this marriage or relationship. And a lot of people, again, they may not realize that. They may not realize this is now their life, and they have to make these adjustments, even to their own detriment, in order to stay with this person. So,
hold on, that's a good point right there, because what is alcohol? What is drugs? It's a temporary escape.
Escapism,
right?
Exactly.
And so we can judge it, or we can look at the trigger. The issue there is you can either have compound blessings or compound problems. So I'm in this toxic relationship. I don't leave. All right. So it's hurting my health. All right. Well, try to get away. Take the edge off. All right. Now I'm drinking. Now I'm smoking. All right. I might get a DUI, DWI. I just might get to the point of addiction. Because, you know, everyone's body is, some people can drink and put it down. Some people drink once. Oh, they drinking 12 times. Right. And so what effects that has, not only on their physical health, but the psychological health, but also if you anesthetize, how can you bear fruit? How can you really be at the top of your game, right? And when you look at it, we'll label that as a substance abuse issue, but really you're trying to cope. You're trying to chase that toxic environment with something that temporarily feels good. That's why I tell people, and it's going to sound crazy.
It's okay.
Listen, I see some people in toxic relationships, and they say, Doc, I don't want to leave. And I said, I get it, because I don't have anyone. I said, all right, I agree. Because if you leave, you're going to, and this is what keeps people stuck. See, you lose the bad times, but you also lose the good times, right? You lose the good things. So we've been married, so that 401k, not trying to take half of that. Look, my friends on social media that appear, it looks like we're couples goal on Instagram, Facebook, whatnot. I don't want to lose that. You know, I don't want to split the kids, or I don't want to appear single if I'm just dating. Right, I don't want to say, I don't want anybody to ask, what happened? Right. Like, wait, and I have to explain that. It's just better off if I just keep this private. But what happens is, when you do that, you're forgetting that there can be a mourning period, right? And so if you focus, all right, let me go ahead and cut my losses now. Let me heal, but also, what I tell them, you need to start dating. And it's like, how am I going to date in a relationship? I said, your relationship is already emotionally dead, right? It's emotionally dead. You're not emotionally connected to this person. You're just surviving. Matter of fact, you're actually dying. You're actually slowly dying in this, if you want me.
You're dying while you're still alive.
Listen, and I keep it real. When I say that, they're like mortified. I say, you know, you went from 86 to like 78 in this relationship. Your 77-year-old person is going to be like, why did you do this to me? Right? So realize that you're taking years off of your life with someone you're going to eventually leave anyway. So you need to start having like a little mattress. I don't mean like another person. All right? But I mean like you need to start like boosting up your hobbies. You need to start preparing your Friday and Saturday nights a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, sometimes a year, to prepare to leave this person without you crashing and burning. You need to expand your friends. You need to get your body and your mind right so that you can attract another person. You need to, you know, when you go, don't look kept. You know, just look, just see if you still have it. I'm not condoning cheating. Let me be clear. But what I'm saying is that we need that validation. Do I still have it? Do women still find it? Can I still get it?
People still want me.
Can someone actually care about me, right? So I say you need to start preparing yourself, and then also start looking around, because most people who date, you know, above 35 usually date someone from their past or someone connected to their past. So I said, look, before you just go and leave and then go right back because you don't have a cushion. That's what I should have said. You know, you need to start building that cushion out, because how many people have we seen break up and they go through a mourning period for 6 months, a year, they back in it with someone better. So that's the key, is do you believe that you could have something better after going through a mourning period?
You know, your response it kind of precipitated another question in my head. It just something just about, because I know someone who is going through this and voice her complaints. What would you say to the women out? You know, I've heard this more with women than men. I'm sure it's going to accommodate both. To the people out there who are in toxic marriages, who want to leave, but they say, I don't want to leave because of the children. I don't want the children to witness an acrimonious divorce. I want the children to remain in a, somewhat quasi-solid household. If I leave this person, if I leave this man, how will it affect my children? So I definitely have known a couple of women who remain in bad marriages simply because they want their children to see their parents still remain. What would you say to the women who are at that crossroads who, at the end of the day, they're going to bed every night with a husband that they don't want to be with? They recognize it's toxic, but they recognize how it benefits, or they think it benefits the children. What would you say to the women or to the people in that crossroads?
That's a great question. All right, so one, there's a cost to your children seeing a loveless marriage. So there are a lot of kids that say, if this is marriage, I don't want it, right? So while they believe that they're staying for the benefit of the kids, they're actually turning their kids off to marriage altogether. Maybe even commitment, because what does commitment mean? I don't see my parents being committed. I see them doing everything under the sun. I might even see them going to church and doing everything under the sun and still being a loveless marriage. So realize there's a cost to them seeing it. Two, kids that are around acrimonious marriages are actually worse off than parents that split, who split and don't have any more acrimony, right? It's the bitterness that hurts kids, not the separation or divorce, all right? Kids can bounce back for divorce. I think I read the statistics that by high school, close to 40 to 50% of kids will be in either their parents will have been divorced or they've already blended into another family, all right? So when you look at it, it's that bitterness, because kids see that acrimony on a regular basis and no one can be around that amount of conflict. But here's the real deal. Troy, this is what I asked him. I said, have you told your husband that you're unhappy? Some of them have, some of them haven't. Some of them feel like telling their husband or their partner that they're unhappy is nagging, right? Versus in reality giving them the real score. Right? So the first thing I say is you need to let your partner know what the real score is. If you are on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you in your marriage? Right? You need to let them know. Right? Most husbands, Troy, say about 6, 7. All right? The wife will say 3. And they'll look and be like, what? How are we a 3? How are we in the same marriage? Right? And then I look at the wife, I was like, how is it that your husband thinks you're at a 6 and really you're at a 3? And almost every time, Troy, they have not told them, or they're sending a very confusing message. So
suffering in silence, or just not communicating, or
no, it's even worse than that. They're making love to the brother. They're hosting Easter. They're hosting Thanksgiving. They're going on dates. They just got back from Vegas, having a great time. Now their complaints are the same. Right? You don't love me. You're not being faithful. You're too mean. You're working too much. We need to have a marriage outside of just businesses and kids. They're saying these things, but what happens is 5 minutes, 2 days later, they're doing their wifely duties and making love to their husband. It's a holiday, so I have to host his family, have to host my family. So to the husband, what message is that saying? We ain't great, but we ain't not that bad. Because I promise you, if I was unhappy, I'm not making love to you on a regular basis.
I could.
I'm not hosting. Right? I'm not faking it. Right? So as men, we just not built that way. Right? Or, you know what? Actually, that's not true. What we'll do is we'll express it, but we'll still keep paying bills. We'll still hold on for the kids. That's actually, I'll tell you, we'll drink. We might go outside of the marriage, right? They might do something else to hold on to this thing for the kids. So let me just say, sometimes it is balanced. But what I tell them is that you need to let the person you're dating, since we're talking about women here, married to husbands, you need to behave like you're unhappy. That's when the husband's attention is actually caught for the first time.
That's when they notice.
Because men don't listen to words, right? Because how can you say you're unhappy but we're making love? How can you say you're unhappy but you're still cooking me breakfast?
You say you're unhappy but you're still posting our pictures on it, Instagram, goals, hashtags. But if you're unhappy, then why does everything on the outside looks normal?
Well,
look like, we're just going through the motions, or it's like we're actors performing, even deep down knowing good and well we really don't want to be there.
Single, but married. Or married, yet single. We live a single lifestyle because we've totally disconnected, but we don't want the world to be able to see that. Right? That's especially true within the church community, because we're supposed to be able to have it figured out, right? So when you look at it, that's the first step I often tell people, if they're at their worst, I said, have you considered separation? It's like, no, I don't consider separation. I said, you don't want divorce, but you don't want to stay the same. Separation would get your partner's attention. Now, is it costly? Yeah, you have to be able to afford it. But you have to also think about what the cost is of staying. So would you rather go through a separation? How many couples have you seen? We separated. We went through tough times, and then they had to recalibrate. They had to find a new marriage that actually worked. Jay-Z and Beyonce, since they're public about it, she had to say, look, brother, you have to change for me to stay with you, right? Matter of fact, you don't want me, I'm gone. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute, right?
Made some great albums from it, though.
For real. But Jay-Z had to make a decision, and he's public about it. He had to go to therapy to say, I don't want to be my dad to my children. So if I need to work out whatever I need to work out in me or with Beyonce, or Beyonce needs to work some things out because we don't know the behind the scenes, all right, let me go ahead and do that. But she put out a whole album, fam. She put out a whole Lemonade album calling him out. No, I ain't sorry. No, blank, I ain't sorry, right? She said it, and Jay-Z had to endure that. Yeah, granted, they made a lot of money, right? But what she did was that's symbolism. She let him know, I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't care if you are a Jigga Man. I don't care if we do have 3 or 4 kids. I can't be Queen Bee knowing I'm getting played. I can't perform and I can't have presence. And how many of us can relate to that? I can't go to work the same way. I can't give advice to other people knowing that my relationship is in a tank. I can't keep posting these pictures on social media and people comment like your relationship goals and DMing us. I can't do it, right? It's hard to put on that face. It comes at a cost. And so it's better just to get their attention, because what happens, a lot of people file for divorce and then the husband has a knee-jerk reaction. No, I don't want to do this. All right, let me change. But at that point, the woman,
she's checked out.
She's already checked out. And listen, you know this. When a woman's fed up, I hate to quote R. Kelly.
Yeah, but that song was real, though.
But the song was real. When a woman's fed up, it's like running out. Ain't nothing you can do. It's like running.
She filed for divorce, but she left a long time ago.
So that's why I tell wives, I tell long-term girlfriends, get his attention earlier. As soon as you're unhappy, behave. When he goes in a kiss, you pull back, right? And he's like, "What you doing? Why you tripping?" I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I'm unhappy. Now, is he going to get upset? Yes, because he's going to feel like you're criticizing him. But then you tell him why. And then you just sit there. That's where a lot of mistakes are made. Just sit there. Just stay at that 6 until he's able to bring you to a 7 or 8. Because he's like, babe, you really tripping on that? Come on now, you know I have to work to pay the bills. But I want dates too. I want you to be a family man. I don't want you just to work. I want you to be a family man too. When I married you, I didn't want you to come home and travel all the time and the kids never see you. And I'm single by myself. And God forbid I like another man's photo on Instagram and you're never here. Right? God, you go ballistic over that. But I want you to be a family man. So can we have a conversation about maybe, do I need to go to work? Do we need to split the bills? Do the kids need to travel with you? Do you want me to travel with you? Do you want me to change my job so I can work remote so that I can be? I've seen a lot of businessmen do this, right? So we can be there. You know, if you're working, we can still go out to dinner. Right?
We
you know,
make the adjustment.
Right.
Make the adjustment.
If it's summertime, weekends, you know, whatever we need to do to be able to make our marriage, our relationship work, let's make the adjustment. But I want to let you know right now that this is not it. We need to make some accommodations.
No, I see that point because, you know, if it's something that matters to you, you remove the issue. You'll find a way. You'll find the time. Yes, there's 24 hours in a day. If you want that marriage or that relationship, whatever, to work, you'll find it. You have to do it because if you want that to work.
But I use my. I have 3 kids. You know, 2 daughters and a son. So
congratulations on the son.
Hey, I appreciate. Hey, y'all. Yeah. We have a 16-year-old, 6-year-old, and an 8-month-old. Well, going on 9-month-old, y'all. So pandemic. You know,
Morehouse, man.
That's right. You know what was going down, right? So when they want something, they get my attention. My oldest daughter will look crestfallen, right? She'll stop talking. I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? You said you wouldn't come to my volleyball game. But baby girl, I have to work. But you said you'd make it. I'm like, but it's all across town. She's like, but you said it about art. What time? I asked her on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is me being at this game to you? If she says a high number, I will rearrange my schedule. Or I will say, all right, how about I catch the next 6? Right? We have a negotiation. But if she acts like she's cool with me not being there, I think I can just get the play-by-play, right? But if she says, "No, Dad, I want you to be there," I'm gonna be there. 6-year-old, you know, hey, Daddy, hey, you have another meeting? She just come on, you have another meeting? Thought we were gonna play. Listen, yesterday, fam, I paused the football game and played whatever, some little fishing game where you put the hook in and grab the fish out. I don't know the name of it, man. But she said she wanted to play. She said, "Dad, you promised." All right, now I'm here relaxing, trying to watch the game. But when she came, she got my attention. Does that make sense? You know, baby, they just gonna cry. You don't have a choice, right? They gonna let you know they hungry or wet, they need your time, whatever. Same thing with my wife. My wife will look sad. I'm like, "Baby, what's wrong?" She was like, "Look, I know you have a lot on your plate, but I need your time." We haven't been on a date in a minute. And I'll be honest, I'm not saying I always react the best. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh my goodness, can I just get a minute just to myself?" Right? But
well, after I do that.
I do it, man, keep it real, but after I don't know about you, Troy, I'm a delayed responder. So after I'm watching the game, so they'll leave me alone for a little while. I'm like, "Fam, you do all these workshops and seminars. You haven't taken your wife out on a date, a month? Ooh. Come on, fam." I mean, she's asking.
Get on the phone, make some reservations.
Would you rather her ask or go somewhere else? I'm very real. You see what I'm saying? I'm brutally real. You keep doing this and you deprive someone, she has to go somewhere. It doesn't necessarily be to someone, but she has to go somewhere.
They're going to do something.
They're going to do something because if you don't feed them.
Void.
If you don't feed them, and if you don't give oxygen, you're going to run out. And I say, and this is something I need too. I actually need my wife to remind me to practice what I preach. And I don't know about you, but when I'm out, I'm like, "Baby, we need this." Usually on vacation, I'm the dude like yo, bump our flight back if we can, if it's not $1 gazillion. Bump our stay. I wish we would have stayed longer. So so the lesson is, people need necessary conflict to change. Right? Like the Falcons are getting it today by the new owner. Why did you play scared? Right? You had 2 opportunities to go for it. You could play to win or play not to lose. What did you do? You played not to lose and you lost. So now they're having to get that feedback from ticket holders, from Arthur Blank, from the new GM that promised not to do this again. Right? So they're getting it. They need that necessary conflict to be able to be more aggressive in their game plan.
Not to mention what they're getting on social media.
Man.
Hashtag Falcons. But one last question, then we're gonna wrap up because this is you dropping some major jewels on folks. For everybody out there, make sure you go ahead and like this video, drop some comments down below, and most importantly, make sure you subscribe. If you're on Facebook, go ahead to that search bar, type in Ringside LLC, request to join the private Facebook group, and either myself or one of my admins will admit you. One last question. Being in this realm of relationships and dating, marriage, I'm encountering a lot of people over the years. One of the things that I've seen as we're talking about toxic relationships, and I see this with men and women. A lot of people are attracted to toxic people and toxic relationships, and the number one reason that I've seen that is they say, "Troy, because the sex is better." I've heard women, I've seen the comments, they say, anybody else, usually boring, non-adventurous, or sex is boring. But I have seen with my own eyes, and I've heard the voices of women say, "I know this man is toxic, but the sex is too great. The sex is too awesome. Never had a dick like that in my life. How can I leave that?" So how can we begin to, I guess, impart this information on both men and women? Like, yes, sex is great, feels good, reaching nirvana and getting that great orgasm. Trust me, I've been there, I understand. But at the end of the day, you don't recognize what it's doing to you. That great sex may be good in that moment, but you're costing yourself, your body, your mental health so much more in the long run. How do you address this popular thinking? Because again, for a lot of men and women, toxic relationships are attractive, sometimes even to the point of addiction, like you were talking about. I'm the type of person, I can have one drink and not having a drink for a month or another. Some people have that one and they become addicted. For some people, these toxic relationships become addictive, even if it means just addicted to the sex. How do you address that?
Woo, that's why you're good at what you do, brother, because you've been, oh man.
Hey, I'm trying.
I'm so glad you asked me that question. All right, so one, it's really settling. Because what they're saying is that it's either great sex or a great relationship. You can't have both. So when I hear that, I say, hey, have you ever been in a healthy relationship? Almost 10 times out of 10, no. So if I have to choose between no relationship and a toxic relationship with great sex, I'm going to go with the toxic relationship with great sex. But when you introduce a third paradigm, what if you could have great sex and a healthy partner? Oh, they said that didn't exist. I said, well, what about the Obamas? Oh, that's fake. All right, what about Steph Curry? Okay, that's fake. What about LeBron? Oh, I can tell you some stuff about LeBron. And so what happens is, in their schema, you've been traumatized. No judgment. You've been traumatized to think that either it doesn't exist or it can't exist for you. Right? And so when you think it can't exist for you, then you're going to operate in the world of companionship, whether it's even if it's unhealthy, because no one wants to be alone, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I talked about a toxic relationship, but loneliness is even worse. Loneliness takes off 10 to 12 years off of your life. A book called Science of Trust by John Gottman. And it doesn't mean being single. It means that when you're single and yearning, but not in a relationship, that's loneliness, because you could be content and be single.
No,
right?
I agree. No, I've told people being alone and being lonely are two different things.
Facts.
Not the same thing.
That's facts.
People conflate the two. I'm like, no, you can be alone and doesn't mean you're lonely.
Right, because you have either you found something to keep your mind occupied, you enjoy your life, or you have a great network of friends, or a lot of times people have great, like sports, like Nick Saban the coach of Alabama, was talking about being afraid of retiring because he wouldn't be a part of anything bigger than him. And while he's at Alabama, he's part of something so big, but at home, he's afraid of like retiring and then dying because he missed so much of that connection. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing is, you know what? A lot of times, toxic people attract toxic people.
Got that right.
So when they're talking about it, we get each other. It's that pain dance. See, think about it. All right. So say I want to fight, right? I want to fight because I'm in a toxic place. I'm stressed. This corporate America has tapped me out, right? So I'm toxic. Guess who I look for in the club? The person who look like they want to fight too. I look at them, they're like, what you looking at? I'm looking at you. We'll do something about it, right? So toxic attracts toxic. Same thing in relationships. So you go find that person in a toxic relationship, in that trauma bond. And when pain dances, it is absolutely erotic. It is absolutely desired. It's a trick of the devil. Is that you'll think this is the real deal. It ain't nothing. Y'all watch this video right now. You be like, I don't care what he's saying, where I felt last night. But fast forward about 3 months. Fast forward 6 months. Fast forward back to how you felt then to how you feeling now. So what started out good ends up being bad, right? But what now you've gotten yourself stuck. So what you have to do is just pull back and detox yourself. You're not going to be able to change him or her if they don't want to change, right? You can't talk peace to someone who wants war. You can't go to Allen Temple talking about let's pray about it. Let's be calm about it. If someone wants war, they're going to be like, bump all that. I'm not with all that. You know, let's box, right? So if you want to move away, detox from it, and then find other relationships. Because here's the thing you didn't mention, Troy. You know it. Brothers are sitting there watching like, I would be with Sierra, but she want to date this dude before she dealt with Russell, right? Russell watching, and there's great women out there like Russell want to date someone who's not even faithful to him, right? But I'm right in his face, but he gonna stay in something toxic. There's someone around you watching. And what people don't know is that actually married couples actually report the highest satisfaction when it comes to sex. Married couples had the best sex life. Why? Because you actually making love and lust. And couples who actually look into it and starting to stretch. And this is the church community. I'm just being honest. Underground. They're starting to stretch and realize our erotic fantasies. Yeah, and I did say that as a Christian psychologist. Our erotic fantasies change every 90 days. Everyone gets bored. First lady gets bored. Pastor gets bored. Deacon gets bored. Someone's been in church 30 years gets bored, right? So you better be talking about how to mix it up with your partner, how to stimulate it, how to bring in that desire, right, between the two of you to keep your stuff fresh every 90 days. So if you're making love and we're building dreams together and we're supporting one another and we're sacrificing and we're in this pandemic making this thing work together, You see what I'm saying? I got your back. You know, someone is supporting ringside. She's there, right there for like whatever you want to do, whatever you need. That's bigger than just wham bam, thank you, ma'am, or you know, the maintenance man coming through and servicing you. What if you can get both? And see, happily married couples are silent on social media. You don't see them. Most time men are not social on social media anyway. Right? We're the two exceptions, but most men don't open up. They don't want any parts of that, right? Most men, you don't see them. All right? You see them in the suburbs, and if you're in the city, you definitely don't see them unless you see certain neighborhood. But in the suburbs, my whole neighborhood, nothing but married folks. All right? But if you're single, you don't see married couples because they separate. So realize it's out there, and that the minute you get rid of your toxic nature, you're going to start attracting healthy people who want to pour into you, and you can still have a desirable marriage where you anticipate intimacy, where it is steamy, it is passionate. Matter of fact, we're doing a Weekend for Love, which is coming up September 30th to October 2nd. We're bringing in intimacy coaches. I know you're always surprised by this, right? But I am not as conservative as I seem, right? And most couples are not as conservative. It's just private. We're bringing in a husband and wife team, Dorico and E. Michelle, to come in, right? And talk about what to do to keep your intimacy tight, right? Stimulate. And it is not for the faint of heart. That's why it's only for engaged and married couples. So that when I go back to church, I'm able to say, hey, they married, right? They engaged, right? Don't come for me, right? Now, so I'm in there listening. I'm with my wife like, whew, that's a little too much for me. My wife's like, I'm with it. I'm like, are you serious right now? All right, let's talk about it. Because if you're doing that, you can have both is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect
You
sense.
can even, my wife and I are good for going to places where there's like a sexy vibe, right? You could be in a place like, man, it's a sexy vibe, right? It might be a poetry slam with some salacious poets. You go someplace and people, you know, like if you go outside the country, you see Europeans, Brazilians, they just free, Italians, they just free. And you're like, you know, I'm liking this vibe. Let's take that to our own private bedroom. Let's use this for our own benefit. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to encourage y'all. You don't have to just get great love make. Well, it's not even love make. You don't just have to have great sex. You can have love and sex.
You have it all.
But you have to try it on. You have to at least open your mind up to it, right? Just start having conversations with people who are married, or conversations with people who used to be in toxic. Like how did Fantasia leave? How did Mary J leave? How did Sierra leave? How did Russell leave? You know, how did they end up actually finding love? All of us have been there, right? And I think that what you'll find is that they have this idea, this belief that through the pain, that on the other side was something better. See, the known toxin, you know what that is. But I'd rather go for the unknown. But that's where you have to have faith. And I think that that's where you also have to get with other people who tell you, listen, it ain't always, I've been in something toxic. I've been in something so toxic, my friends are like, bruh, what are you doing? And I was like, man, I don't know, but I'm trying to save her. I love her, right? And I got to a point one day, man, I just said, I can't take it. That's the question. That's what I'm trying to get. What's your rock bottom? See, she crossed my rock bottom. Troy, she swung on me, fam. She swung on me.
That's toxic.
She swung on me, man. I just said, turn the radio down, I'm trying to study. And I did say it like that. I didn't say, please turn the radio. I was back in grad school. And she came out there and she said, what did you say? I said, turn the radio down, I'm trying to study, chill. And she was like, don't use that tone with me. I said, all right, my bad. She was like, no, keep that same energy. I was like, well, you need to chill out, watch out. Bam, bust me right in my lip.
As soon as you said watch out, I was like, it's probably coming right there.
She went right back in my room, fam, started watching the movie like nothing happened. I started collecting all her stuff. I'm so thankful that God calmed me down, all right? I started collecting all her stuff. She didn't live with me, but she was over there all the time. Bam, I said, look, let's go. I took her home in the snowstorm. I was looking out the window, snowing so bad. Took her home, man. But what happened was I had to say, you know what? If I don't get out of this, I'm going to be toxic. Because then I'm going to hit her back. Let's just I'm going to cuss at her. This energy's gonna go towards my clients or towards my friend. This ain't a good environment for me to be in.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so this is where you have to say, my rock bottom, I love myself too much. I'd rather go for the unknown. and just pray. Because for me, it's God. Like, God, send me someone else, right? And for you, it might be talking to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, it's having that belief that everyone who's been through something toxic and found something great's been where you've been, and you have to have that mindset that you're better than the current relationship that you're in. You can't have it all.
And I think, honestly, that is the bombshell we can leave this with, because I think that is an awesome way to wrap this up. I need people, it's important for me, even with the endeavor of my channel and everything I do with Ringside, people need to understand you not only can you have it all, but you are worth it. That you are deserving of it, because that's another issue. You're gonna have those men and women who feel like,
that's a good word.
Even if they feel like, yes, it's out there, it may exist, but I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I don't have this, so I may not deserve what that happiness may be. So, but before we exit out of here,
man, that's good. I don't want to extend this, but you spoke to my spirit when you said that.
Okay.
About feeling deserving.
I mean, right. Trust me, I'm not gonna go into detail. I mean, I may or may not have been in that same space, but that is a real sentiment for a lot of men and women. That feeling of why should I extend or go this far? Maybe I should just stick with the low hanging fruit, because that's what I deserve. I don't deserve the fruit at the top of the tree that gets most of the sun. It's probably more ripe or whatever. I'm just stick to this small morsels down here, because I can't do any better, because I don't deserve any better.
Man, and that hurts my heart, people to hear. Perception's reality. God created you. Whether you've accepted Christ into your life, God created you. There's no one else that looks like you. No one's gonna think like you. No one will ever look like you. You are unique. He chose you, right? And so with that, man, I want you to just test it for a little bit. What you need is validation.
Mm-hmm.
What that's saying is that you, and I'm saying you, us, we need validation. I could think I'm all that, but if no one's saying it, I don't feel it, right? And there's some people that you feel can just feel like, oh, they're amazing. They feel like they have imposter syndrome. They feel like they're impersonating someone great. You think I have it together, but in my head, I'm criticizing myself. I'm saying, if you only knew the real me, you cool for about a month, but if you knew the real me, you tap out. But see, God Jesus sent his son to die for the forgiveness of our sins. With me, he already knew we were imperfect. Mm-hmm. So who are we to criticize ourselves when God already knows you're imperfect? Alduan's imperfect. Troy's imperfect. Beyonce, Barack, everyone's imperfect. But if you can find a way to love yourself, flaws and all, you're going to find that what you pour into someone else, they want to pour back into you. And they're not looking at the superficial stuff. They're not looking at the mistakes you made. They're looking at how you make them feel, which is why if you're a great lover, you're going to always be in a great relationship, but you have to make sure that you share that love with someone who's going to reciprocate it. See, if you're a great lover, you're going to attract people that want it, but that doesn't mean they're good at it. I made a decision. I would not date someone who was not as good or better than me to make me step my game up at being loving. When I met my wife, I was like, she is a loving person, right? So I need to challenge myself to love her as much as she loves me, and you can find that. I don't want anyone who feels that they're less than to give up, because there's another person waiting on you right now who feels the same way you do. If I could just get someone to love me the way I love someone else, right? Because I'm selfless. I'll take care of you before I take care of myself, right? But if we're both doing that, oh my goodness, now I'm getting validation. Hold up, you just want to be at my event? You don't want any shine? You're not doing this so I can support your event? You believe in me when I don't even believe in me, right? Like I think this is a 70% event. You here saying it was 100, even if it was a 70, because you see where I'm going, right? You tapping. If there's someone else that's 100, you still, like, as much as I crack jokes about the Falcons being from ATL, I'm still not gonna be no Saints fan. At no point was I pulling for the Saints. I was just guarding myself from being hurt. Which is like a toxic relationship. I was guarding myself, right? from being hurt. But at no point am I ever gonna be a Saints fan. At no point am I ever gonna pull for another team other than the Falcons. I'm just gonna cry when we lose, right? So always be Team U, because at some point the Falcons are gonna win, right? My great grandkids might be here to see it, but at some point they're going to win. You're going to win.
Now, my girl is from Atlanta originally, and she was like, I ain't rooting for the Aints. She can't stand the Saints. She's like, oh no, we don't do that.
We don't, not never. And so that's how God feels about you. But you know what we do? We jump ship off our own team. All right? Instead of saying, you know what, I took a L. There's some things about me that are unsavory. I don't like. I wish were better. But there's someone else out there who sees you as great. And that's what helps you get out your own head. It's the same thing you do. We'll see someone, they talk about flaws, and you be like, I can't see them. You're tripping, right? You're tweaking, as we used to say. What are you talking about? And we see so many beautiful women with self-esteem issues, so many beautiful men out there with self-esteem issues. Forget all this superficial Instagram mess. If you can love someone and love them well, you're going to always be a hot commodity. But you have to get out that toxic relationship, get out that toxic thinking. And when God tells you, or your intuition tells you to speak to that person that's looking at you, then you're going to reward yourself, because you're going to realize that they were praying, they were yearning to meet someone like you to pour into them so that your relationship could be blessed.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. This, what I foresee with this, for the subscribers out there, the viewers, I want this to awaken some people, stimulate some people and make them have some introspection and say, you know what, maybe I need to get out. So with that being said, for the people who are watching this, who are taking notes, who want to follow you and want to get more, of this information from you, how can they find you?
Go to my website, drtartt.com, and join my email list. Or you can just text Tartt, my last name, to 22828. Text Tartt to 22828. And you can actually inbox me, send me an email, because I relate to the people best. Like you say, hey, do a video on toxic relationships. Do a course on how not to stress. Like the Bible says, it says, be anxious about nothing. But like how, right? There's no scripture. I read it like, okay, I'm anxious. I read it. I'm still anxious, right? How to actually do it. How to be less depressed. How to get out of a toxic relationship into something healthy. Whatever it is you need. I actually enjoy that because it tells me what you need, and then I'll create something for you. And then also if I invite you out to different events. We have a Weekend for Love. Check out weekendforlove.com. It's a marriage retreat coming up at the end of September. Join us if you can. And then also we have a monthly Better Husband, Better Wife class. It's for engaged couples, couples who are married. We just give you marriage enrichment to help your marriage relationship feel good. It's a community of other people, and we give you private exercise, like in your own little private counseling, except more classroom enrichment style. So check out betterhusbandbetterwife.com.
Indeed. All right, everybody, this has been Ringside's Corner Confession. Dr. Tartt, thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure, and definitely a privilege. Everybody out there, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow this man. You will not regret it. And with that being said, we are out. Go.